I was recently sketching Slimer from Ghostbusters in a sketchbook and considering a bigger project. I landed on two concepts that I really liked, and I decided to leave it up to my community. So I posted the concepts with a poll on all of my social media and asked you which ones you liked. So I guess I'm doing both. I love Slimer. To me, he's an instrumental part of the Ghostbusters. His attitude, hijinks, comedic relief, and overall design are perfect. But in order for other people to see what I see, I think we should take a look at him. From concept and design to television and movie star. Dan Aykroyd is weird.
Hey, ho, ha, ho! Hula, hula, hula!
And if you ask me, he's the right kind of weird. Daniel was born in Ottawa, Canada. We can forgive that. Back in 1952. His father was an engineer and policy advisor to Pierre Trudeau. His mother, a secretary. He went to strictly Catholic schools. Upon graduating, he attended Carleton University studying criminology and sociology. Eventually, he dropped out and began pursuing music and comedy, and the rest, as we say, is history. But what does that have to tell us about Ghostbusters and Slimer? Well, let's look at Dan a little more. Aykroyd's idea for Ghostbusters was rooted in his interest in the paranormal, UFOs, ghosts, and the unexplained. Kind of like me. Even his family has a history of exploring spiritualism, particularly his father. Yeah, this guy, who wrote a book about ghost hunting. One of his notable works is called A History of Ghost, the true story of seances, medium, ghosts, and Ghostbusters, which explores the history of the paranormal and its cultural impact. But then also Daniel's grandfather, Samuel Augustus Aykroyd, was a notable figure in his own right. Known for his deep interest in spiritualism and the paranormal, he was a dentist by profession, but had a profound fascination with the supernatural. He conducted seances and was even known in the spiritualist movement, which was popular in the late 19th and early 20th century. His dedication to exploring, researching, and documenting the paranormal and weird phenomena had a lasting impact on the family, especially Dan, who grew up hearing these stories and thinking about these things. It became a fascination with him. And I was fascinated by the same stuff when I was a young boy. But it was this personal connection with the supernatural that was a major driving force behind the creation of the story. A team of ghost hunters using advanced technology to capture and contain ghosts. This includes gadgets and tools that are highly futuristic for its time, which kind of reflects Dan Aykroyd's autism.
There you go!
Interest in tools and gadgetry, as well as his desire to blend science fiction with supernatural elements. His initial idea involved a team of ghost mashers who would use high-tech equipment to travel through time and space, battling supernatural threats. Also, the original draft included a concept of the Ghostbusters traveling to different dimensions and dealing with a various array of supernatural entities. But that element of science fiction is really what differentiated typical ghost stories from Ghostbusters. Aykroyd's original concept was way more ambitious and expansive than what we see in the original '84 film. Had it not been for Harold Ramis getting involved with the film, it probably would have been grandiose and disjointed. But with their combined effort, we are blessed with an iconic franchise. As a kid, much like Dan Aykroyd, I had fallen in love with the horror and the macabre and the unknown, the bizarre, freak shows, the taboo. It's what drew me to the Ghostbusters. In fact, it's why we're talking about Slimer, a significant character to me, but actually an insignificant character in the whole story of Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters has made over $1 billion as a franchise. The 1984 film still remains the most popular of the 5 films in the franchise, and that's because it's the best. This franchise has expanded to licensed action figures, cereals, snacks, amusement park rides, novels, video games, you name it, there's Ghostbusters of it. The original film Ghostbusters was directed by Ivan Reitman. Aykroyd and Ramiss co-wrote the original screenplay, and Aykroyd initially conceived of the idea. If it hadn't been for Ramiss, like I said, I don't know if it had been presentable and actionable as a film. Aykroyd and Ramiss were also top billed for the film, not to mention the comedic talents and other acting talents they brought to the table, with Ernie Hudson, Bill Murray, Will Atherton, Rick Moranis, Annie Potts, and of course, Slimer, that gastronomic specter. He's a character defined more by his slapstick antics than his ability to even communicate. The character's design and execution were brought to life by the special effects artist Steve Johnson. The ghost originally had no name, but they called him Onion Head. As you can see, that's also what I called one of my drawings. Johnson's creation was heavily influenced by the comedic and chaotic spirit that Aykroyd and Ramiss had envisioned for the character. Now I want to read to you an exact quote. That way I'm not, liable here. The Slimer design took 6 months and approximately $300,000 to develop. It went through many variations, which Johnson blamed on executive interference through micromanagement, constant adjustments, and conflicting notes on how to modify each detail. He said, "In the beginning, they asked for a smile with arms, but before I knew it, give him 13% more pathos. Put ears on him. Take off the ears. Less pathos. More pathos. Make his nose bigger. Make his nose, now it's too big. Now make his nose smaller. Make it more cartoony. Make it less cartoony. You get the idea." The day before his deadline, Johnson learned Aykroyd and Ramiss had wanted Slimer to be an homage to John Belushi. With that information and a series of Belushi headshots, Johnson took at least 3 grams of cocaine and believed that Belushi's ghost was visiting him to provide encouragement. I shit you not. You can look this up. It was during this episode that he sculpted the final Slimer design that appears in the film. Aykroyd admitted that the character was designed from Belushi, or at least the look of the character. Ramiss said that the comparison was not malicious, explaining, and I quote, that Belushi was the person most likely to trip over a coffee table and knock a bookcase over. Belushi, friend of Dan Aykroyd and comedy icon unto himself, was originally also supposed to be in the film before his untimely death at 33 from a speedball overdose. This tribute to him added an additional layer to the character of Slimer, blending humor and mischief, which became a hallmark of the ghost in the series. And if we compare Belushi in Animal House to Slimer here, I think we can see that they still have a similar energy.
I'm a zit.
What the hell is that thing?
Also, I wanted to talk about the roundness of his forms. The roundness of Slimer, if we look at it here and here, I mean, even his eyes are oval in shape. I mean, there's just circles everywhere. These circles speak jovial to us. They convey non-threatening, which is weird for a ghost, but circles have a form language. If you're interested in learning more about that, make sure to subscribe to the channel as I'm working on a series of videos, one in which I will be talking about how lines and shapes can, convey things and communicate. So make sure to do that. Slimer can also be considered a trickster figure in some ways. Trickster figures, which I've talked about before, are common in mythology. If you wanted to see another video where I talk about a trickster figure, I'll put a video link up there. But tricksters are common in mythology across the world. In folklore, they're characterized by their mischievous behavior, playful pranks, and their ability to disrupt the status quo. Slimer embodies several of these characteristics. Slimer's mischievous nature in the original Ghostbusters film and subsequent media often involves causing chaos and playing pranks. His gluttonous appetite leads him to consume, well, anything edible and maybe some things that aren't so edible. He creates messes and causes humorous situations that frustrate the Ghostbusters. That's why both drawing concepts that I've come up with have him eating. You can see the onion head is eating a slice of pizza and some donuts on his arm there. In the second one, we have him stealing some ice cream from an ice cream shop. This is typical behavior of a trickster figure. They enjoy creating disorder for their own amusement. His humor and antics provide comedic relief for the Ghostbusters series. His exaggerated over-the-top actions, such as sliming people, consuming huge amounts of food, and making disgusting noises, are designed primarily to amuse people, and it worked, especially to little boys. Slimer embodied two things that every little boy wants to be: loud and gross. Much like other trickster figures, he can also use humor to achieve goals. We sometimes see that in the Ghostbusters cartoon series. While Slimer causes trouble, his actions are generally harmless and seem intended for fun rather than malice. This fits that archetype. Slimer's gluttony and disregard for order reflect a break from what we consider conventional proper behavior in society, but it is this sense of chaos and humor brings a juxtaposition to the structured behavior of the Ghostbusters. Now, I'm in no way saying that the Ghostbusters themselves are playing it straight. The juxtaposition is really of the already quirky and odd Ghostbusters that allows Slimer to push the paradigm of the film to the edge of absurdity. We accept a giant marshmallow man because we already accepted Slimer. We're willing to accept this giant marshmallow man walking down the street because we accept this legless, gluttonous ghost. I mean, Murray's charming, witty, comical, and somewhat cynical Venkman, and then you take AYKROYD's Ray, who has childlike wonder and optimism about the world, slightly eccentric character, but those characters are pushed even further by Slimer. He's balls out, if he had legs, that is. Characters that evoke laughter and joy tend to become beloved by people, and that reflects typically the childlike wonder that society has, an inner appreciation for comedy. We want those things. Slimer's antics fulfill this as well. He has an appetite for anything that you can eat, and we have an appetite for him. He's an enduring figure. Slimer's backstory isn't even mentioned in the original films, but throughout the franchise's growth, we've got to learn a little bit more and more about his character and where he comes from. In the original '84 film, Slimer is introduced as a mischievous, gluttonous green ghost haunting the Sedgwick Hotel. He's basically just known for his insatiable hunger and his ability to slime people, which is basically just vomiting ectoplasm on people. But beyond this, the movie really doesn't delve into his origin. It's in the animated series, The Real Ghostbusters, which ran from '86 to like '91, where we expand Slimer's character. In this series, Slimer becomes more friendly and somewhat of a comical figure. He's depicted as a former human who was greedy. And I think that has to do with the gluttony, greed. And I'm not saying that they're saying that about Belushi, but you get the gist. That's the character that we're talking about. By the premiere of The Real Ghostbusters, he was also coined as Slimer. Remember, he was called Onion Head, so by the premiere of The Real Ghostbusters, they had already settled on the name Slimer. It's not really recorded why they chose that name, but from what I understand, it sounds like it was decided because that's kind of what the general public started calling the ghost. In the Ghostbusters video game, which is considered canon, more hints about Slimer's background are provided. The game suggests that Slimer's real name was Onion Head. and that he was once a gluttonous hotel guest who died at the Sedgwick Hotel. He continued haunting the hotel with his ravenous appetite in the afterlife. Overall, while Slimer's backstory and origins remain largely consistently ambiguous, with the idea of him just being gluttonous, mischievous, dead man, which provides both trouble and aid and sometimes entertainment. There's also a theory online that says that Slimer was likely a mobster. The greed part plays into that. They also say that because he's missing his legs, it was likely that he got the old cement boots and maybe thrown into the river. Now, why would he go back to the Sedgwick Hotel? I'm not sure. Maybe he had a condo there. But executives from the film franchise say that there's no validity there, even though I think it's kind of a better backstory myself. In most of his appearances, Slimer doesn't talk in a traditional sense. In the original film, he communicates through grunts, growls, and other nonverbal sounds, but he doesn't have any spoken lines. In the animated series, he does have like a limited ability to speak. He can kind of make out words, but they're only certain small words, and I don't even think he could do more than maybe 2 in a row. He often communicates in with like broken English and makes various sounds to convey his emotions, kind of like a ghost Helen Keller, if you will. Slimer actually resonates very much with kids of my age. If you're watching my channel, you're probably about my age. I see my analytics. I grew up on the movies and on the animated series. I was born in '85. The series ran from '86 to '91. Knowing that he hits that for people and that we have a fondness for Slimer, he has been used as a brand ambassador for a ton of things. He was, of course, on the Ecto Cooler. He was also on the Ghostbusters cereal, toys and collectibles, plush toys, action figures, had his own Slimer Lego set. He appears on several Ghostbusters themed sets. Ghostbusters video games, Slimer appears in numerous Ghostbuster video games. He's been used on apparel and clothing, promotional campaigns for the movies. Dude, he's everywhere, but I love it. My cousin had the huge Firehouse set with the Ecto one and Egon, with the Gulper Ghost and the Green Ghost, which, you know, at the time was called Green Ghost, or it might have already been called Slimer, but he had those and I envied it. Slimer's enduring popularity has made him a very versatile character in marketing for the Ghostbusters franchise. As far as I'm concerned, Slimer is a member of the Ghostbusters. Icon status. Now, which Slimer do you like? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, like it, make sure to subscribe. And remember, guys, life is what you create. So create something awesome.